Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. So as you know, I have been doing a Basics of SFX series in preparation of Halloween. The next installment of this series is going to be 3 different ways that you can do a cut. Okay, so the first one that we are going to be creating is the liquid latex and cotton wool. Things that you will need for this are, of course, liquid latex and cotton wool, but you will also need baby powder, a palette knife or some kind of utensil to lay the edges down, and cosmetic wedges, and something to decant the liquid latex into. So you're going to start by laying the liquid latex on the area that you want the cut. Then you're going to make like a little worm of cotton wool, lay that onto the liquid latex, and then saturate the cotton wool with more liquid latex. You want it to be full of liquid latex. And you're going to also use the sponge at the same time to lay down the edges and make the cut look the way you want it. Now once you've gotten the cut to look the way you want it to look, you are going to powder over it. It is very important to powder latex, otherwise it stays tacky and really gross. Now I used some concealer just to blend the latex into my skin. This concealer is the only color that really sort of matched my hand, but you can just find your foundation or whatever works for you. I then used this grease wheel to color it, but you can also use eyeshadow or water activated paint, whatever you have. You want to put a really dark color into the cut to make, the illusion of depth. And then you are going to take a red color and pack that onto the edges. So this is going to give it a very irritated and nasty look. You want the edges to have the most saturation, but then you're also going to take some of that red and just blend it over the rest of your hand, just slightly, partly to make that illusion of being irritated and partly to hide the latex. Now we're going to take the blood that we made before from our blood tutorial. I will pin that in the corner, and you're just going to take a little knife, or you can even use a toothpick or whatever you have, and just pack that blood inside the cut. How cool does that look? Now this is my favorite method. We are going to take the scar wax that we made before. I will also pin that in the corner. And you're going to use whatever skin adhesive you have. You don't have to use latex. It was the only thing I had on hand at the moment. But you're going to put the skin adhesive wherever you want the scar wax to sit on top of, and then you're going to blend the scar wax into that adhesive. Otherwise the scar wax is not going to stick to your hand, so it's very, very important. Now you'll see as I try and blend it out, it does get quite crumbly, so you can just use a little bit more Vaseline, and that will help blend it as well as rehydrate the scar wax. There's absolutely nothing wrong with using Vaseline to blend it out. Whoops. See how easy it is to fix any mistakes that are made. I love scar wax. This is my absolute favorite method. So now I'm just giving the cuts a little bit more, personality, I guess. And I'm just cutting some divots out. And then I'm also just covering the wax with more liquid latex just to protect the wax a little bit. You can also get wax sealer, or you can just use whatever skin adhesive you had already used. Now the same method as before, put in a dark color into the cut and then red around the edges to make it look very irritated and sore. And yeah, then just blend it out. I must say though, this can mess with you psychologically as well, because while I was doing this cut, my hand hurt so much. So just bear that in mind. And then again, just dripping in some of that fake blood into the cut. I also took a toothbrush just to splatter some blood onto the wound. And then I took a little bit of cotton wool and just spread it out a little bit. And I put a little bit too much blood into the cut, so I just took some out a little. I love the way this looks. Oh my goodness. Okay, so the next method is just going to be with body paint and eyeshadow. You can just use eyeshadow as well. How you activate the water activated paint is you just spray some water on top of it and then swish your paintbrush around until it activates. I will admit I made this cut a little bit too thick, so I think that took away from the realism a little bit. So I think if you're going to make a cut with this method, maybe do quite a thin cut. Basically, I laid down the color that I wanted and then I deepened up the inside, and then I took a darker color and just blended where the edges would be to give it that depth look. It does look a little bit more washed out on camera for some reason. In person it did have a lot more depth, so just bear that in mind when you are blending the edges and adding in that dark. You want it to be quite dark around the edges so that it really looks deep. I then added some concealer around the edges of my skin just to make that look more raised up. And then I took some more fake blood and I just like sort of spread that around as well, just to give it that glossy look and also just to make it look a little bit more gory. And there you have it, 3 different ways to make cuts. Thank you so much for watching, I really appreciate it. Please feel free to like and subscribe and share this video to someone who you think could use it this Halloween. Please also don't forget to hit the notification bell if you want to get notified every time I upload a video. The next couple of videos are also going to be really cool for Halloween. We are going to learn different ways to make bruises, different ways to make burns, and also how to make a bald cap. And yeah, I will see you guys next time. Bye!